New animated family filmmaking is more than just political Disney remakes and sequels. The Wild Robot is one of the biggest surprise hits in the animated film space in years. It's a DreamWorks production that has like a really big hype online. It's basically been a big critical and commercial and audience success, and it's basically gotten nominations in all the big awards. This is definitely one of the most surprising, beautiful, and best animated films that I've seen in a long time. It doesn't fall into the typical traps of most other mainstream movies and TV shows nowadays, and I really want to talk about why. This movie is about an intelligent robot who is stranded on an uninhabited island. To survive the harsh environment, the robot bonds with the island's animals and starts caring for an orphaned baby goose. This movie really feels like one they stopped making at some point. Original animated film with a beautiful style and a fascinating technical process going into all of that, with a moving story that both grown-ups and kids can enjoy. This is exactly the kind of movie that Pixar was so great at making somewhere between 1995 and 2010. The Wild Robot is also a pretty straightforward movie that isn't like groundbreaking. Nothing you've seen in this film you haven't seen anywhere before, but still what makes this into a really outstanding film. The Wild Robot is just the kind of feel-good film that's for everyone and doesn't have a extremist political message behind it like most new Disney movies and shows. It doesn't have any unnecessary cultural references or any kind of foreknowledge you need to have before watching, because it isn't tied to an established franchise. And it doesn't really have like a radical experimental creative style or a meta commentary philosophical type of storytelling, something that the latest Spider-Man animated films have. I mean, I love these films, but we have to admit that they are quite specific and not for everyone. The Wild Robot feels so surprising because the movie is so straightforward in that it focuses on telling a good story and being visually beautiful. Movies don't need like a lot to work. They just need the basic ingredients really well done. First of all, like the visuals look absolutely stunning. All of the textures and lights just have a really great balance of abstraction and realism. Apart from being a really beautiful film, it also makes some bold and brave choices in the way it explores certain topics. The way nature is shown in this film isn't as like this peaceful, perfect, idyllic place, but it's really brutal and raw, and animals hunt down each other for food, and death is like a reality that lurks behind every corner. I just felt that it was being really honest in the way it shows nature in its good sides and in its ruthless sides. And humanity isn't like a danger to nature in this film, a menace, a liability to environmental protection, but humans, or human creation for that matter, is actually showing us to be the nurturers we were meant to be. Even though this film is kind of set in a dystopia and we don't really find out, I think, what happened to the rest of the planet, but still they didn't go for the classic narrative of humans are bad for nature, so it's humans, everything is the fault of humans. But humanity does come in this film in the form of a robot, a human creation, and the way technology is shown in The Wild Robot is also so refreshing. Rather than being demonized, technology is actually being shown as something useful for once. But it's not just all utopia at the same time, because technology is shown to have limits where nature can go further. But I just love when human invasion isn't the villain of a movie for once, especially when you compare this to like another new animated film, the new Wallace and Gromit movie, which totally use like technology as a villain to explore the dangers of AI, and that's just really obvious and boring, I think, for a film. It's been such a long time where I've seen both the depiction of nature and humans and technology in such an honest and unbiased way in mainstream narrative media. I also love how the film kind of is told from the parents' perspective. Most family entertainment children's films like take on the perspective of a child because they cater to mostly a children's audience. But I read an interview with the director of this film that he wanted this film to appeal to grown-ups, just like it did to children. And the film does a really good job in showing the parents' perspective and parenting, depicting it as something chaotic, scary, and imperfect, but ultimately honorable and gratifying. The movie ends on a big note about the value of community. Community isn't just about tolerating each other, but it's something that works really well when everybody kind of goes, okay, I'm gonna sacrifice my immediate desires for the community. It's a film that isn't preachy at all, and it puts our focus into what helping means. Like, helping is not like fighting like social justice for these big picture topics, for systematic stuff. You can actually help in your immediate surroundings, and I love how we can learn a lot about from this film about the way we can help in our everyday lives through what is going on around us. The film shows help to be something pragmatic. The robot, the protagonist in the film, decides to help the baby gosling and save all the animals just because her help was needed. And I think that's how we should all be helping, right? And I mean, how much better of a place would the world be when we would just be focused on the immediate help we can provide to everything surrounding us, instead of like going online and talking about things that we can really change. And at the end of the day, this film has like quite a fairy tale kind of ending, and it's all right, you know, it's a children's movie first and foremost, something that a lot of fan bases of like animated films really forget is these kinds of films are made for children's first and then for grown-ups, and not for grown-ups first and then for children, right? This is something the director Chris Sanders, who also created Lilo and Stitch, the Disney franchise, which the first film was like really good, but what he wanted to do was, he knew that the whole setting, it's a book adaptation, this film right here, he knew that the setting and everything would appeal to children, but he wanted to have everything to have, like, from a storytelling point of view, from a visual point of view, a certain sophistication that would appeal to grown-ups. And I think they did, when it comes to the visual style, was hand paint certain parts of the imagery, and not in the style of an animated film, but in the style of a painting. And I think this grown-up style and this grown-up flavor that the film has is really what has turned this into a really big hit. The White Robot proves that filmmaking can be successful just because it's great filmmaking, and that sometimes seeing something for really familiar executed really well is better than seeing something radically different that is just executed weakly. That's what I'm thinking of when I think of great movies. It's just all execution, the way you tell the story. You know, movies aren't books. It's not so much what happens, it's about how you show what happens, and the whole style and the whole narrative around that. That's what's important to me, at least in movies. I really do hope that you get a chance to see the Wild Robot. It's such a great animated film and such a beautiful visual experience. And I thank you so much for watching my review right here. I wish you all a blessed day and hope to have you back in my next video.